Now, it's very difficult for the AFL to comment or to be inside a football club to know what's really going on. And often people expect the AFL to have some answers on these things, but it's impossible when you're not within a football club or what's going on with the culture, what sort of decisions are being made, how they're being made. I don't know anything about how the football department's run. I'm not actually an expert in that area, Neil, and I would say to you that, nor are my staff. I mean, we're in head office. We don't really understand football land in some ways, but from the perspective of what the club understands it needs to do, I think they've acted very swiftly and decisively, and they have to now commence a rebuilding of this club to restore the faith and trust of their supporters. And I think you're right in your opinion the other day. People need to get behind the Melbourne Football Club, even if it's other supporters of other clubs. We actually need a strong Melbourne Football Club.
Would the AFL put somebody into the club to help that review, to help the overall assessment, to help the rebuilding?
If the board of the Melbourne Football Club asked the AFL for any help, Neil, and if that was a review, or that was sending in an external person, if that was someone to go in and help them in their accounting functions, or whatever it might be, of course the AFL would help. That's what we do often. And, I said at a press conference in Sydney on Monday, we're only a phone call away from any club, and all clubs go through various issues from time to time, and I suspect not as significant as this one, but we're always there. That's what we're there for. I mean, if a club needs a resource support, if it needs financial support, if it needs strategic support, that's what we're there for.
Don't you have the authority to step in under the rules, though, because they've had money from the Equalisation Fund? Can't you step in? Well,
the club, Neil, is performing off-field financially. They're hitting their targets. I mean, from a budget perspective, they've signed up sponsors. They've been tracking quite well. We've got no reason to step in, and the only legal reason for the AFL to step into any club, and I'm talking about any club in general, under our licensing arrangements, if a club was trading insolvently. And the Melbourne Football Club is not trading insolvently.
So you haven't got the authority to go along and say, look, we really want to send somebody in and just have a look. You haven't got that authority?
No, we haven't. And we have under what you just described before, under the equalisation, if a club wasn't performing to what its targets were and what was agreed under the agreement.
And that doesn't cover the football performance, doesn't it?
No, I mean we can't dictate or influence how teams perform on the field.
Well, but it's a great concern to you because, as you've said, you want a strong Melbourne for the very reasons we've been discussing.
And in those situations, Neil, what we would say is, I don't think any supporters want the AFL to impose itself on a club. That's what they elect their boards for. What we would say is, we are here to help if you want help, and we will provide whatever resources, whatever strategic support, whatever we can to help this football club, and it would be the same for any club, Neil, to help a club rebuild.
Do you agree there's some sort of cultural problem at Melbourne?
I'm not close enough to it, Neil. I'm not inside the club. It's impossible to comment.
Is it survival of Melbourne on the line?
Oh, look, I think that's melodramatic. I mean, this is the oldest football club in the land, Neil. It is entitled, we are obligated to make sure that this club is around for another 150 years. I mean, and beyond. I mean, this is like the strongest brand in many ways you could ask for in a national competition, in the heartland, Melbourne. So of course it's going to survive. What we want though is we say this about all our clubs. We don't want clubs to survive. We want them to thrive. We want as many equal clubs as possible so that all supporters, including Melbourne supporters, start off the start of the season and go to every game thinking their team can win. That's what we want.